We're still technically have a minute. Okay. Hello. Welcome into our shared sacred space. Good morning. Welcome to University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Chloe McElroy. My pronouns are she and her. We would like to take this time to silence all of your fun little doodads. I actually have mine silenced already, but anything that makes noise, please silence it. We appreciate it. Also, note that it is COVID and flu season right now. If you are not feeling good, please stay at home because we don't want your germs. We like to share things, but germs are not the things we like to share. All right, and then if you are not feeling well, you can watch online. And now it is time for committee moments. Come on up.
Martha said I should say that I'm a former chairman of many committees because I'm asking the favor of the community, and it's not committee moments. My husband did finally get into the nursing home of his choice. At the VA. And can you open? So sorry. At any rate, what he needs is a tablet, and I don't know anything about tablets. I can't take his computer in, it's a different kind of situation, but he can have a tablet. I'm looking for somebody to help me choose which one to buy, and someone who might be willing to come with me to help him learn how to use it, because I will need to know how to use it, and it would be helpful. He is cognizant. He is not mentally impaired, so he can certainly learn how to do that. But he has a lot of physical issues, so it would be helpful if I could find somebody that could help me do that as well. So I just throw that out into the ether. Thank you.
Lindsay Stroh for the auction committee. I would love to have some more committee members to help with the auction. I'll be sending out a thing later for volunteers for the actual day of and setting up of the auction. But in the meantime, I encourage you to go to the website and to put in the items that you want to donate for the auction, either an event or gift certificates that you've solicited from the community or things that you have. Please call me if you have any questions about how we're doing the auction. And I especially want to thank Sarah, who is my co-chair with me in doing all the computer stuff. But it's going to be a fun event, but we need to have all the items by March 31st so they can be online on time for advance bidding. So please, if you've got it in mind, get it together and let's get it a nice auction for everybody.
Jill Vita for Women's Group. We had game night on Friday. It was a lot of fun. Roberta and Dee and Ivana were the team winners. They did a great job. And we're going to do it again next month. That will be the 5th of April, I believe, is the first Friday. So I hope to see all the women there.
Oh.
This was a short one today, the short line. Miguel Rodriguez from Social Action Committee. We're having our monthly meeting today at noon, so please come and join us. And for those that will join us online, I will send out the minutes right after the service. So take care. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Martha Kirby, Program Chair. Just watch the notable news, please. We've had a couple of people volunteer already. I'm working with Janet, who's here today, setting up a series of lay-led programs with you guys sharing your thoughts about some of the bigger questions. We've had a few people volunteer already. Thank you. You know who you are. And we'd love to have more. So please watch that. And there will also be something on pastoral care this week. And Janet's waving at me because I forgot something.
Okay, life. What happens, okay, what we're planning is for March 31st. We have, I think, 2 volunteers already to speak on what happens after we die, life after death. So think about that. 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3, we're very welcoming. We can, so please talk to us, me or Janet. Thank you.
Amazing. I forgot to do the doors and exits. So if you look to your left, right? Your right, sorry, I'm bad with left and right. If you look to both of these sides here, there's an exit this way and this way. There's one behind me as well as one behind you guys. And that are all the exits, just in case you need to leave quickly. My opening words today come from Michelle Obama. First and foremost, I wear what I love. That's what women have to focus on. What makes them happy and what makes them feel comfortable and beautiful. If I can have any impact, I want women to feel good about themselves and have fun with fashion. All right, so we have our opening music now, I believe. I actually don't know what it is because I didn't get that ahead of time. So we are dancing Sarah's Circle, and Jan's gonna lead us.
This is a straightforward, not too difficult hymn, but we've never sung it before. So therefore, I'm going to ask Alicia to play it through once. Thank you. And please rise as you're willing and able. We are dancing Sarah's circle. We are dancing Sarah's circle. We are dancing Sarah's circle. Sisters, brothers, all. Here we seek and find our history. Here we seek and find our history. Here we seek and find our history. Sisters, brothers, all. Here we all do our own naming. Here we all do our own naming. Here we all do our own naming. Sisters, brothers, all.
Amazing. Thank you. Our chalice lighter today is Ender. They go by they, him pronouns. They are 16, and they were happy to attend the UUUF campout last night. Amazing. Ender, thank you. All right. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. We affirm our time together here. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, seek truth and love, and to help one another. A special welcome to anyone who's visiting us today, either here or online. Let's go ahead and give a big wave to our online friends in the back there. Hi, friends. We appreciate you being here with us. Our speakers vary widely. We have a part-time minister who speaks twice a month to us, and then all the other Sundays of the month are filled with either members of our congregation, local professors from different schools, people of different religions. So we ask that you come once, twice, 3 times to kind of really find out what we're about, because every week is going to be something different. And at this time, just greet your neighbors next to you real quick, and then, let me, listen for me to call you back, all right? What does a waterfall sound like? Shh. Yay, good job, y'all. All right, now is the time for joys and concerns. Please feel free to come up to the mic, or if you raise your hand, I can bring a mic to you. Please remember that we are live streaming this, so if you don't want your joys and concerns on the World Wide Web, then maybe don't share them quite right now, but if you do, then there you go.
I went to the camp out last night, and we did not go to sleep until like 9:30. And I was up since 5, and I'm tired. My friend's Mayo's birthday party's on 3 weeks.
My birthday was yesterday.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about being older, and I keep seeing things about Dump and Biden about being older, and I decided that, the word mature is good, but I think now that my birthday is this Wednesday, I'll be an elder.
A wise man. So I had a little tragedy at my house this week. My dogs got into where my chickens are, and dogs will be dogs, and I do not have any more chickens. But I will rebuild and make it better, and I will have chickens again because I miss them.
So, how long have we been informed on many, many Sundays that some little person in this community was about to have a birthday? And I think this started like 2 or 3 months ago. When? It's been a long time. And yesterday I was perusing Facebook, which I seldom do anymore, and I saw a posting that Miles had a birthday yesterday. So Miles, come here. There you go. Happy birthday, Miles. You want to hold it down here too. So there you go. Okay. Happy birthday, Miles.
Well, I've already shared with you my joy, but I'll say it again. My husband got into the home that we were hoping that he would get into. He is settling in very well, considering everything, And I just want to thank everyone who was very supportive and really helped me through this very difficult time, and I'm especially Martha. But yes, everyone was just incredibly supportive, and it means so much to be a part of this community. Thank you.
My name is Ann. I'm just doing a proud mama moment. 2 of my girls came home from Gainesville last night, which was nice, but all 3 of them have exciting things coming up. So next weekend I'll be flying with Olivia and Amelia, but Olivia is going to be shadowing 4 different doctors at the University of Michigan Medical Center in preparation of, you need to do a lot of shadowing to get into medical school, so it was a big deal that she got to do that. Amelia has been offered a summer internship in Washington, D.C. this summer, so she's super excited, and Maddie will get her AA on April 30th. So we're just doing great.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield. On Thursday, I was able to support actor friends of mine by going to see their show Ride the Cyclone over in the Universal area. I cannot remember the theater, but I got to go see that, and I've been wanting to see that show for a while, so I had a really great time. So that's my joy. Unfortunately, though, right before we went in to go see it, we got notice, we being my partner Max and I, got notice that his mom broke her leg. So she's in recovery right now, but she's pulling through.
Broken bones are nothing to sneer at when you're an elder. I think I qualify too, David. I think so. This was maybe an announcement, but also a joy from Happy. Blue Springs Park, where we go to see the manatees. I haven't done that yet this year. But they have an annual Firefly Festival, and they extend park hours until 9 o'clock so that we can see the marvel. So if anyone's interested, maybe we can get a group together and go. So if you have an interest in fireflies, which I think are really cool, I didn't know we had them in Florida. I thought they were a northern thing. So, I mean, I'm not, I want to go. Lorraine wants to go. So let's figure out when we can go do that together. I think that sounds like fun. And I have a joy. I just booked my flights yesterday to go to see my daughter in England. She's off for another break for 2 weeks, and her boyfriend couldn't afford to go to Paris on Valentine's Day in February. So I signed up to take her to Paris. We're going to recreate the trip that my late husband and I took in 1989. And last night I found all the pictures. So now I can put it back together. So I think that's going to be a really fun trip. She's very excited. So I will be back for the auction, but I'm gone the first 2 weeks of April.
All right, I also have a joy. My sister and I met Spike from Buffy at Pensacon last week, and that was pretty cool. A lot of our dreams came true, so that was my big joy. Right, so let's go ahead and take a moment of silence for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. Thank you. It is. Oh, no, we have some more joys and concerns that Martha will read.
I forgot to check my phone again. I apologize. So for Rachel Gardner, gratitude for a new apartment. So that's exciting. That means you found one you can afford and move into, and concern about job hunting. And Derek, his joy was kayaking the Indian River Lagoon this weekend with Amy. The wildlife is wonderful, so I'm glad they had a great time.
All good? Okay. It is now time for a Time for All Ages. I welcome up James McDevitt Phelps, our religious education coordinator.
Hello, everyone. So, as you guys have now heard, we did just have our spring camp out here, which I think went really, really well, and I'd like to thank everyone who showed up. In addition to that wonderful celebration of the beginning of meteorological spring, because there's two official start dates to seasons. One happens on the solstice and the equinox, and one happens at the start of the month. So this is the start of the month one, start of the month of March, which makes more sense for the beginning of spring here, I think, which kind of feels like it starts at the end of January. But so, our lives, much like the cycles of the earth, are filled with cycles. We have times where we rest, times where we're very active. We have times of growth and times of maturity, times for planting seeds and times for harvest. So, in celebration of spring, I have over here a bunch of tiny little pots that you can plant in the ground and some seeds. And I would like to invite anyone who would like to come up to go ahead and pick a few seeds and put it in a little pot. And at the same time, as you're planting these physical seeds, to think about what other seeds you might want to plant in your life right now. Seeds of kindness, of knowledge, of skill, of friendship, of courage. And then, as you watch your little physical plant grow, it can remind you of the other seeds that we've planted and the other things that we'd like to grow in our lives. So anyone who's interested, we have over 20 over here, so hopefully enough for everyone who's interested. You can just come on up and stick a few little seeds in. So feel free to line up like you did for Joys and Concerns. Which do you want? Do you want a flower, tomato, or tomato? Okay, so I have some right here. Not by that one. Not by that one. That's perfect. Soil. There you go. Already right there. So thank you, everyone, and happy spring.
Amazing. All right, it is time now for our interlude and offering. 40% of our offering goes to our community. I believe we are still we're supporting the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida now, so. Oh, they had a fire last month apparently, so donate nicely. And, I don't think Marilyn McGinnis is actually singing this song. I believe it's me and Lindsay. And the congregation, if you guys want to join in.
Doing this a cappella, it has a echo that I will lead you in, and so it is Women's History Month, so happy Women's History Month. I'm a gray-haired woman and I'm coming into my years. I'm a weathered woman and I'm coming into my years. No holding back, no more trying to please. I got the will and the power to get off my knees. I'm an aging woman and I'm coming into my years. And I'm a streetwise woman and I'm coming into my pride. I'm a fight back woman and I'm coming into my pride. No more shrinking with fear while they whistle and jeer. I got a fist that's hard, a mind that's clear. I'm a night walking woman and I'm coming into my pride. And I'm a loudmouth woman and I'm coming into my voice. I'm a talk back woman and I'm coming into my voice. There's an ocean of words got caught in my throat. Gonna let loose the waters, learn how to float. I'm a sing out woman and I'm coming into my voice. And I'm a fighting woman and I'm coming into my strength. I'm a make change woman and I'm coming into my strength. I won't save the world, I won't change my song, but I'll fight any battle that'll move us along. I'm a far-sighted woman and I'm coming into my strength. And I'm a loving woman and I'm coming into my own. I'm a heartbeat woman and I'm coming into my own. I'll go for passion, I'll go for strength, I'll go for the moment and I'll go for the length. I'm a give-take woman and I'm coming into my own. Coming into my own. Coming into my own. Coming into my own.
Thank you for working with us on that. It is now time for our children's recessional. We always welcome our children to stay in the service, but if they would like to, they can go on out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Thank you, Alicia. Alrighty, so as Lindsay mentioned earlier, it is the beginning of Women's History Month. March marks the beginning of Women's History Month. Our speaker is Lindsay Stroh. She will be talking to us today about women's rights and the rational dress revolution. So without further ado, Miss Lindsay Stroh.
Thank you. Today I want to salute the people of the women's rational dress movement. We don't have a clicker that works today, so Patrick's going to click as we go. So, Miguel next. It was a revolution, and its proponents were jeered and ridiculed. In addition to seeking the vote, women in the 19th century demanded release from their tight corsets, long full skirts, bustles, crinolines, and other clothing that impeded their freedom and movement and damaged their health. The comfortable styles we wear today are a direct result of their insistence that women be permitted to wear appropriate clothing. Next, during the Middle Ages, discussing or even thinking about the woman's form was considered sinful. Women were expected to wear long, loose, draping dresses and cover their hair in public. Sumptuary laws, that was a new word to me, sumptuary laws were enacted to dictate what clothes could be worn in order to distinguish the higher classes from the lower classes, as well as to differentiate between the sexes. The latter was backed up by a biblical rule. Next. From Deuteronomy 22.5, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. But, next, societies emerged from the Dark Ages and entered a new age of experimentation in art, religion, science, and fashion. Sometime in the 16th century, the corset emerged as an undergarment for fashionable women in Italy and was introduced in France by, next, Catherine de' Medici. The bodice of the corset was made of stiff material or leather and fortified by whale bones and then tightly laced. The ladies in the French court regarded the corset as essential to the female figure's attractiveness. Apparently, next, some men were corseted too. This is Henry III of France and his wife. The fashions of the wealthy elite were copied by the merchant class, and corset makers, next, worked in most cities and towns in Western Europe. In strict religious communities in Europe and colonial America, next, laws regarding the appropriate way to dress were enacted with harsh punishments for infractions. Wearing simple clothing meant avoiding the sins of pride, greed, and envy, especially for women, who wore stiff, tightly laced waistcoats either over or under their dresses. The term straight-laced comes from the firm, upright posture and attitude of a person who supports moral society. However, next, in European and American society, long dresses worn over many layers of gathered cotton or flannel petticoats were the fashion, often with a hoop skirt or a caged crinoline. Underneath all of this was a rigid corset. Next. Also called stays, made of leather or heavy cloth that was stiffened with whalebone and later steel and worn over a chemise. It was laced up tightly, especially around the waist, to achieve the desired silhouette. All of this could weigh more than 14 pounds. Ugh. Next, a tiny waist was considered essential for a woman to be attractive. Girls wore tightly laced corsets day and night, and the resultant pressure caused constriction of the lower ribs until the desired waist reduction was achieved. This was called figure training. This is Mary of Teck, who became Queen Mary, wife of King George V of England. That's Queen Elizabeth II's grandmother. Due to figure training, she had a tiny waist and much admired for her figure. Next, in 1848, Dr. J.L. Comstock wrote that he believed wearing a corset or stays was causing rampant deformities, illness, and even death. Imagine that lung capacity being reduced that much. In explaining this diagram, the next, he said that the pressure of stays pushes the front ends of the ribs inward, bending the soft cartilages so as to make them form acute angles outward. This results in the ribs pressing inward upon the lungs. Next, a reader wrote to the editors of the Science of Health describing her experience with figure training as follows. I quote, At the age of 13, I was sent to a fashionable boarding school and was quickly given to understand that the system embraced not only special mental accomplishments, but also figure training that I might be made a fashionable young lady. Need I say that the first article of dress attended to was my stays. Those that I wore upon entering were removed, and another pair, smaller in the waist, more strongly made and heavily boned, were substituted. These were not removed night or day, except twice a week for a few moments for the purpose of bathing. And each morning, next, they were drawn a little closer so that a regular system of reduction of about 1/2 an inch a week and later 1/2 an inch a month was enforced until the degree of beauty in the principal's eyes was attained. After 6 months, my waist, having been reduced from 22 to 16 inches, was considered small enough. Because a corset that was tightly laced reduced lung capacity, next, women were prone to fainting, which reinforced the idea that women were the weaker sex. Instead of blaming the tight corset, some so-called experts said that women, especially upper-class women, were like delicate flowers and should not be subjected to strenuous activities. Others accused women of swooning in order to avoid unpleasant situations. Next, for most girls, wearing a corset was part of the transition to adult clothing. Laura Ingalls Wilder, shown here with her sisters Carrie and Mary, wrote a series of children's books based on her childhood in a pioneered family. I had thought before that this corset thing was just for the upper classes, but women were expected to wear corsets wherever. In this book, Mary, the eldest, tries on a dress that's found not to fit until her corset is laced more tightly, leading to the following exchange, and I quote, "I'm glad I don't have to wear corsets yet," said Carrie. "Be glad while you can be," said Laura. "You'll have to wear them pretty soon." Her corsets were a sad affliction to her from the time she put them on in the morning until she took them off at night. But when girls pinned up their hair and wore skirts down to their shoe tops, they must wear corsets. "You should wear them at night," Ma said. Mary did, but Laura could not bear at night the torment of the steels that would not let her draw a deep breath. Always, before she could get to sleep, she had to take off her corsets. "What your figure will be, goodness knows," Ma warned her. "When I was married, your pa could span my waist with his two hands." Next, in her book Reminiscences, Elizabeth Cady Stanton recalled, "In demanding a place in the world of work, the unfitness of women's dress seemed to some an insurmountable obstacle. How can you, it was said, ever compete with man for equal place and pay with garments of such frail fabrics and so cumbrously fashioned, and how can you ever hope to enjoy the same health and vigor with man so long as the waist is pressed into the smallest compass, pounds of clothing hung on the hips, the limbs cramped with skirts, and with high heels the whole woman thrown out of her true equilibrium?" Wise men, physicians, and sensible women made their appeals year after year. Physiologists lectured on the subject, the press commented, until it seemed there was a serious demand for some decided steps in the direction of a rational costume for women. The most casual observer could see how many pleasures young girls were continually sacrificing to their dress, in walking, running, rowing, skating, dancing, going up and down stairs. If you've ever worn a long dress, you know you have to lift it up to go down the stairs. Climbing trees and fences, the airy fabrics and flowing skirts were a continual impediment and vexation. One possible solution, Next, one possible solution was the invention of an article of clothing that consisted of long, baggy pants narrowing to a cuff at the ankles worn under a knee-length skirt. This was designed by Elizabeth Smith Miller of Peterborough, New York, and Fabrizia Flynn, the wife of the Italian ambassador, but were popularized by Amelia Jenks Bloomer in the early 1850s. Newspapers called the outfits bloomers and published derogatory articles and cartoons about them. Most of the women who wore the costume were deeply involved in dress reform, abolition, temperance, and the women's rights movement. Next, Elizabeth Cady Stanton wore, that's Amelia Jenks Bloomer. Okay. So Elizabeth Cady Stanton wore a bloomer costume for 2 years. Next. And she said, "I found it a great blessing. What a sense of liberty I felt in running up and down stairs with my hands free, to carry whatever I would, to trip through the rain or mow with no skirts to hold or brush, ready at any moment to climb a hilltop, to see the sun go down and the moon rise, with no ruffles or trails, to be limped by the dew or soiled by the grass. What an emancipation from little, petty, vexatious trammels and annoyances every hour of the day. This statue in Seneca Falls, New York, celebrates the day that Elizabeth Cady Stanton was introduced to Susan B. Anthony. The person making the introduction is Amelia Jenks Bloomer. Note the difference in their outfits. That's Susan B. Anthony on the left with the long skirt, Amelia Jenks Bloomer in the middle with the Bloomer outfit, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton on the right with a more conservative version of the Bloomer outfit. Stanton eventually gave up her Bloomer outfits when appearing in public, as the criticism and ridicule she received drew attention away from her efforts to abolish slavery and secure equal rights and votes for women. She said, "I went back to the old slavery for repose." So, next, corsets became more readily available to the public with the industrialization of the garment industry. Women needed more jobs became available to women after the Civil War, and women were finally able to be in the workplace. So this is a corset factory. Steel stays replaced whalebone. Women and even children were hired to work the assembly lines or take piecework home. Next, factory-made corsets were widely advertised and quite popular, and it was stressed that it was necessary for good posture. There were even children's corsets. Next, I'd like to honor, Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, shown here in a more conservative Bloomer outfit. She's one of the few women who earned a medical degree in the early 19th century. She stated that long skirts were unsanitary and the tight clothes impeded circulation. Allergies here. So, she left private practice to serve in the Civil War at a makeshift hospital treating sick and injured troops. She applied for, but was repeatedly denied, a surgeon's commission because of her gender. Near the end of the war, when they were short on doctors and really needed her more, instead of being a volunteer nurse, she finally received her surgeon's commission. And she also provided essential information as a Union spy before being captured and held in a Confederate prison. She is the only woman in U.S. history to be awarded the Medal of Honor. She eventually gave up the Bloomer outfit and wore trousers, like the men, in addition to being criticized for her masculine dress. She was arrested several times, charged with impersonating a man. She is wearing in there her Medal of Honor, which I understood she wore every day for the rest of her life. She insisted, "I don't wear men's clothes, I wear my own clothes." I like her. Next, at the end of the 19th century, bicycling was becoming quite popular. This is Lady Harburton, or Florence Wallace Pomeroy, one of the leaders committed to the women's right to cycle in England. She designed a cycling outfit and invented the divided skirt. Others considered her outfit inappropriate, and Lady Harburton was refused admittance to Hotel Coffee Room when she appeared in her cycling costume. But with her wealthy husband's support, she sued the hotel. The resulting lawsuit received wide media coverage and provided public debate about clothing that was safe for various activities. Next. The debate was fueled by men who feared that women who wore trouser-like fashions would take on other masculine characteristics. I'm sorry you can't see that cartoon better, but you see these masculine-looking women smoking and looking mean, and the children laughing at them, and on the other side, there were proper-looking women looking appalled. Many cartoons criticized the new fashions. Lady Harburton became president of the Rational Dress Society. I want to celebrate others in that society next. This is Mary Eliza Haweis, an artist, scholar, and author, and woman's advocate. And next, this is Cornelia Wilde, a popular children's author, and along with her husband, Oscar Wilde, a supporter of the arts. This was the Rational Dress Society's stated purpose, I quote, "The Rational Dress Society protests against the introduction of any fashion and dress that either deforms the figure," next, "impedes the movement of the body or in any way tends to injure the health. It protests against the wearing of tightly fitting corsets, of high-heeled shoes, of heavily weighted skirts, as rendering healthy exercise almost impossible, and of all tie-down cloaks or other garments impeding on the movement of the arms. It protests," next, "against crinolines or crinolets or any kind as ugly and deforming. It requires all to be dressed healthily, comfortably, and beautifully, to seek what conduces to birth, comfort, and beauty in our dress as a duty to ourselves and others," unquote. Next, another strong voice in the society was Oscar Wilde. He was a star of London society and a brilliant poet and author. He supported the rational dress movement by publishing the essay, "The Philosophy of Dress," in which he stressed the important relationship between clothing and one's soul. I wish I had time to read the entire essay to you. It is beautifully written. Next. In 1889, a member of the Rational Dress Society, Charlotte Carmichael Stopes, a noted author, staged a coup at a meeting of the British Association for the Advancement of Science. She arranged an impromptu addition to the program on the subject of rational dress. Her speech was reported across Britain, more so than the other things that were happening in the society, and the notion of rational dress was the biggest news from the meeting. In the United States, next, Mary Tillotson was a spiritualist and a charter member of the National Dress Reform Association. In 1842, she adopted a short dress over trousers, which became known as the American costume. It was ridiculed as being unfeminine and did not gain many adherents. During and after the American Civil War, many more women were entering the workforce, next, to support their families. With the invention of the typewriter, many women found work in offices. It was impractical for these working women to wear full skirts and crinolines and hoop skirts, and more tailored skirts became the norm. Next, in 1867, a leading member of the Seventh-day Adventists, this is Ellen G. White, said she had 3 visions from God about how women should dress. The first, next, this is her first vision. The first were of fashionable length, burdening the limbs, impeding the step, sweeping the street, and gathering its filth, the evil results of which I have fully stated. This class, who were slaves to fashion, appeared feeble and languid. Next, her second vision. The dress of the second class, which passed before me, was in many respects as it should be. The limbs were well clad. They were free from the burdens which the tyrant fashion had imposed upon the first class, but had gone to that extreme in the short dress, known as the American costume, as to disgust and prejudice good people. Next, a third class passed before me with cheerful countenances and free, elastic step. Their dress was the length I have described as proper, modest, and healthful. It cleared the filth of the street and sidewalk a few inches above under all circumstances, such as ascending and descending steps. Based on her vision, a dress pattern known as the SDA, Seventh-day Adventist dress, was developed and shared, and in fact imposed on Seventh-day Adventist members. It averaged 9 inches from the floor. Next. Here's an important version of the SDA outfit. Instead of a dress, it is a skirt, blouse, and jacket. Separates, yay! Up until the 1800s, women wore dresses, not skirts and blouses. In those days, before air conditioning and antiperspirants, a dress could easily be ruined with underarm stains. A white cotton blouse, however, could be washed and bleached and eventually replaced without buying a whole new outfit. Separates gained in popularity because of a cartoon character, next, created by American artist Charles Dana Gibson. The Gibson girl was smart, sporty, and beautiful. She wore tailored skirts that didn't require lots of petticoats and often a pretty white blouse. Next, she often wore a divided skirt when cycling or engaging in other sports, and often she didn't bother with a jacket over the blouse. Next. At the beginning of the 20th century, many women wore the popular blouses without jackets and skirts, but continued to wear steel-reinforced corsets, some less restrictive than others. American socialite Mary Phelps Jacob patented, next, the brassiere in 1914, and the soft rubber girdle also debuted about then. However, women hesitated to buy these new products because of the widely held belief that corsets were needed to support good posture. In 1917, in order to free up steel for war production, the U.S. Industries Board, next, asked women to stop buying corsets and factories to stop producing corsets. Be patriotic. Donate your corsets. This campaign liberated some 28,000 tons of metal. Next, enough to build 2 battleships. Goodbye corsets. Isn't that amazing? Today we are much more relaxed in our clothing styles, and each of us is responsible for setting our own standards. We owe a debt of gratitude to the advocates for fashion fairness. I'll close with the words of one of these brave activists. Next, Elizabeth Stewart Phelps, an author, who in 1873 set fire to her corsets and encouraged others to do the same. She wrote, "Burn up the corsets. No, nor do you save the whalebones. You will never need whalebones again." Next, make a bonfire of the cruel steels that have lorded it over your thorax and abdomens for so many years, and heave a sigh of relief, for your emancipation, I assure you, from this moment has begun. Ta-da! It's my opinion that in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, the speaker never has the last word. So I invite you, if you have questions, or if you have ever been required to wear clothing that was unhealthy, dangerous, or uncomfortable. Have any of you ever had to wear something that was, well, I certainly have. When I went to secretarial school, we were required to wear hat, 2-inch heels, and gloves. And we were told never to wear red because it's an arousing color, and we weren't supposed to arouse strong emotions. Anybody want to share what they had to wear that they hated?
I just had a comment, but...
Go ahead.
I thank you so much. It was a great, very educational, entertaining talk. One thing that just sort of reinforces what you were saying is that I'm not sure you're aware or anyone's aware, but in the, at least in the 19th century in London, I'm assuming in other cities too, being a maid was considered really dangerous. And one of the reasons it was, you wouldn't think like being a housemaid would be like a dangerous occupation, but it was. because they had to walk up and down stairs in long skirts holding trays. And so many of them fell down the stairs. And people don't know that, but it was because they tripped.
Also, women who cooked over with open fireplaces sometimes caught fire.
Well, I went to school in South Florida, and until my senior year, you were required to wear a skirt every day, including football games. And I often thought that the whole reason about football games with the open slats was so people could look up your skirts, because it made no sense whatsoever.
I have a question. So often we see these period pieces on TV and so forth, and they're all very tightly dressed and so forth, but they also are spilling out in the bosom area. And I'm wondering, was that not considered, I don't know, impolite?
I don't know how much of that is TV and movies and how much is whatever. Oh, good.
Joey, the reality is that in that time period, the bosom was considered more for babies. It was not supposed to be arousing to men. That's a more modern thing.
But you didn't want to show off your ankles. That was the, yeah.
Follow-up question, Lindsay, thank you. On the subject of bras, I'm interested. Was, well, look at the lines in here, would you? Anyway, was there any comment on that? You talked about the health and the dishealth of corsets and so on. What about bras? Did doctors have anything to say about that? About health-wise and so on?
Because the doctors that spoke were talking about the constriction of the ribs and the heavy lacing that was actually forcing bones and cartilage in. And then a bra doesn't change the body. Looks, support. Yeah.
I have a question. So during pregnancy, I was in the bathroom, someone may
Yeah.
have asked this. During pregnancy, were they like allowed to be free for 9 months or?
I didn't find that in my research at all, but they would have had to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And they must have had
pregnancy and childbirth.
Yeah,
obviously.
they must have had a different type of corset for that. Yeah. And a lot of times, pregnant women were supposed to kind of stay out of sight anyway.
I was just going to add that I remember not being able to wear pants to school until I was in 10th grade. So that was 1972.
And I also remember that, and on the cold winter days, those cold legs. Yeah. Or knee socks and those cold rubber boots with a skirt. Ugh. And imagine if you went to school in some place like Minnesota, whatever, in a skirt. Yep. Anybody else? I see a hand back there.
Hi, me again. Question for the women that had to wear skirts to school. You weren't allowed to wear anything underneath?
When I was a kid, when you were little, they had the style of a coat with leggings that matched the coat. And I have a picture of myself wearing that when I was like 3 or 4. But it wasn't cool. Kids, once you went to school, who wanted to go in the coat room and take off leggings? And maybe in colder weather you did, but I didn't.
Back in the dark ages when I was in high school, we lived in Minnesota, and in the winter, we had to wear skirts to school, but in the winter we were allowed to wear pants under the skirts to school and from school, but you had to take them off when you got to school.
Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing with us. We're going to go ahead and extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame. carry in our hearts until we are together again. My closing words today come from, I know I'm going to say her name wrong, I think it's Mayusia Prada, but what you wear is how you present yourself to the world. Especially today, when human contacts are so quick, fashion is an instant language. And our closing music today will be We Are a Gentle, Angry People. Janet will lead us again.
Please rise again and embody your spirit. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors. We are singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing for our lives. And now we have a postlude.